Hello there, this is Knowledge Geek. I have watched the sixth episode of The Watchmen, and it was yet another great episode, the third one in this series. Up to now, we had three good and three bad episodes. I think this one was the best out of all the episodes so far. But you know what the good episodes have in common? They feature too little of Angela, the main character, and I think this is weird in a way, but then it hit me. There is a huge problem with Angela as a protagonist to this series, and yes, I know it's 2019, almost 2020, and since all pop culture is discussed on Twitter, a social medium that rewards intellectual poverty and oversimplification, some of you will say, oh, you just hate people with excess X chromosomes or melanin. And that's not the case. The problem with Angela, as well as with other characters who have to, get the demographic quota out of a work of fiction, for instance, like Rey in The Last Jedi, which, they were supposed to have a female main character in the new Star Wars trilogy, and all she did in The Last Jedi was be our stand-in so we can watch the relationship between two men, Luke Skywalker and Kylo Ren, and also Kylo Ren and Snoke, and it's basically Rey in The Last Jedi was there so she could resolve Kylo Ren's dad issues. Or to swap genders, I think that was an issue with Pacific Rim, where the main character was really boring in my opinion, but there were two amazing characters they could have a movie based on, Stacker Pentecost, the Idris Elba character, and Makomori, which had an amazing relationship, and Makomori in particular had a great character arc, and she should have been the protagonist in this movie in my opinion. It's not always bad, having a lean main character that works as a stand-in for the audience, or is there to facilitate the stories of more interesting characters. I mean, Fury Road did this amazingly well, with Max being there so we can see the adventures of Furiosa and the girls she tries to save, and all this craziness. But it's Mad Max. Every Mad Max movie, but the first one did that. So it was within the framing of this particular franchise. In Watchmen, however, we're used to, the graphic novel Watchmen, we're used to some very, very flawed characters trying to be their best selves. And some of them, Ozymandias, for instance, become the villains trying to be the heroes because of their flaws. And that was the beauty of Watchmen. In the 2019 Watchmen TV series, most of the characters are like that. They're deeply flawed, they try to be their best selves and do something heroic. But Angela is there just to facilitate their stories. And the first two episodes, she was there so we can see Judd and get some semblance of what happened in the White Knight and what's the deal with the 7th Cavalry. In episode 3, she was there as nemesis to Laurie. And also in episode 4, this happened. We had an Angela-centric episode with Laurie being shown also and salvage a lot of this episode, in my opinion. Of course, your mileage may vary, and if it does and you think what I'm talking about is stupid and I'm wrong, leave a comment. I love to read it. I like having my opinions challenged, believe it or not. I'm not on Twitter, Mats. So yes, she is a heroic person who tries to do the right thing, and she is that's kind of boring. She has no flaws, Angela. And yes, she is a black woman, which is it fits the message of the show, because everything is about racial tension in America in The Watchmen. And in this episode, we'll have the spoiler start. So if you haven't watched The Watchmen and you don't want to be spoiled, you can turn off this video and come back later when you have watched the series. And I'd love to be proven wrong, because this show has this amazing ability to prove me wrong. Every time I criticize something in The Watchmen, it gets fixed a couple of episodes later. So, in the sixth episode of The Watchmen, most of which is shot in black and white, we have the true origin story of Hooded Justice, the masked vigilante who started everything. And surprise, surprise, he is Angela's grandfather, the boy who was saved in the beginning of episode 1, and also the man in the wheelchair that was found where Jude was lynched, and he claimed that he lynched him. And that was kind of interesting the way it happened, as we see in the end of the episode. But let's move to Angela's grandfather. In the 1930s, he was the first black police officer in Manhattan. He got married to the baby he saved at the beginning of episode 1, which makes this kind of weird. Well, he's a police officer. He sees somebody throwing a Molotov cocktail in a Jewish deli. He catches the man who did that. He arrests him, but he's let go, and some other police officers come. They grab him. They take him to an abandoned place, and they hang him from a tree. But then they cut him down before he gets hanged and before he dies. So there was a lynching, and as he's returning home with a noose around his neck, he witnesses a mugging and he intervenes. So he assumes the identity of Hooded Justice, and he's out to get the KKK who are hatching a sinister plot in Manhattan. And he's approached by Captain Metropolis. They form the Minutemen, only he pretends to be white because people are not ready to accept him. And he also goes into a relationship with Captain Metropolis, as we sort of saw in the American Hero story in the previous episode. And okay, I'll have to say something over here. HBO has struck with American Hero story. I think they should do a spin-off of this, show within a show, where we have Zack Snyder version of the Arrowverse, a very melodramatic, soap opera, corny series about the Minutemen, which is a satire of everything superhero. And every episode should start with an absurdly long content warning about all the stuff that could be in there. That would be a lot of fun. I'd love to watch the show. I know many of you would. If you would love to watch the show, leave a like right now so I know that. Maybe leave a comment and say, I'd love to watch the show, and maybe we can start something. I don't know. Just saying. And back to the episode, we have the Hooded Justice, who has, he assumed the identity because he's angry and he lost all respect for the law. Slowly comes to realize that the other Minutemen and Captain Metropolis are using him, so he goes off the chart and just goes and murders a lot of KKK members who have come up with a hypnotic device to make the black residents of Manhattan kill each other. And that's the whole episode. I think it was great. It was a great episode. It was very Watchmen-like. I can see this Hooded Justice be a Rorschach-like character, a dark Avenger, a person who assumed a superhero identity because he lost faith in justice, and then he witnessed horrors, and that made him an anti-hero. Somebody willing to kill for what he believed would be justice. And it was great, really. I really loved this episode. I think it was the best one yet. I know that there are people who are not that happy that Hooded Justice was retconned to Angela's grandfather, but I think it fits the theme of the show, and I can forgive this episode for not having any Ozymandias parts, because Ozymandias was the best part of the series up to now. But yes, I really loved it. I really loved Angela's grandfather. I think he is awesome. But yes, Angela is boring. There is no escaping that, as long as the rest of the season doesn't focus on Angela and she's just there to introduce us to the world and have more pedestrian character, which is not something that happened to the graphic novel. Okay, even Naito, who was the everyday dude and the voice of reason, he had his own baggages and issues to resolve, and so did Laurie. They were the innocents of this graphic novel, but Angela's not that. Angela is, she's stunning, and that makes her boring, and she cannot hold an episode the way all these other side characters like Laurie, like Looking Glass, or like Hooded Justice can. But yet, then again, every time I criticize Watchmen about something, they fix it later on. So I hope they'll do the same with Angela. Thank you for listening. I'd love to hear your comments on the Watchmen episode 6. Did you like it or not? And you can leave a comment. You can like this video, subscribe to the channel for more Watchmen reviews. There'll be another one next Monday, and I'll see you soon on a video. Thank you.